Good afternoon, Dr. J. Good afternoon. What's up?
Good afternoon, Pastor. How you doing?
Can't complain. It's all yours. Take it away. I'll be listening. Have a good program.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Labitil Habits That Count. It is a place where we examine issues and concerns, and we identify practices and habits that we can implement to fix them. I am your host, Dr. Martha J., and I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. Today, our Labitil is brought to us compliments of Hilltop Renovations in St. Thomas, Rainbow's Construction in Dominica, and Leona Taxi Services in St. Thomas, as well as Budding Writers Academy. I want to say thank you so much for your listen. Those of you listening in the Caribbean, in the diaspora, or on Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, wherever you're listening, thank you so much for your listen. And this week, our focus is on the use of the internet and other digital tools. The United Nations, the United Kingdom, the CARICOM, many other, actually all governing jurisdictions, they continue to grapple with rules for keeping children safe on the internet. We have programs and we have a plethora of suggestions to parents on how to protect their children from online predators and from large commercial companies. The United Nations has a ring in place to reduce trafficking of children and youth. But I always wonder who takes the time to talk about whom are we protecting our kids from? The simple answer is adults, from us. Adults who do not understand how to be civic-minded digital citizens. And that's what we're going to talk about. So today, to help us navigate the idea of the delicate idea of digital citizenship, I have with me Mr. Begnado, who is a former educator. He is a current IT specialist in a large health industry. He is also a supporter. I would call him, he is a partner with Budding Writers Academy because he is a professional development instructor with me, teaching schools about how to handle their digital aspects, things like digital literacy, digital citizenship, cyber safety, school-wide monitoring on the internet, how to keep students safe, how to use web applications to teach, and a whole plethora of things. But today we are here addressing digital citizenship from the adult's perspective. So, Mr. Begnado, I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Well, that was a wonderful introduction. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to work with you, an honor to work with you, and I can't wait to talk about digital citizenship, digital footprints. This was really what I did my master's dissertation on, and digital learning, digital leadership. So I'm definitely excited to dig into these topics.
Awesome. So, Mr. Begnado, when we think of citizenship, we mostly think of legal acceptance from one country. For example, I'm a citizen of the United States, I'm a citizen of Dominica. It means that the country has legally accepted me as a person who can live in their country and follow the rules. So I want you to tell us, what do we mean when we say digital citizenship?
Very, very closely related to what you just described. When we're talking about digital citizenship, we're talking about that legal acceptance as moving from one country to another. But this legal acceptance is activities within the World Wide Web, within the internet. So in essence, this legal binding is an international binding. Countries across the world house the backbone of the internet. And so when you are communicating across the internet, you are legally accepting that responsibility to send that information and that data across the globe. It is the acceptance that when you send or create information, data, whenever you're engaging in on the internet, that that engagement, it goes from your device and it is networked and routed to multiple devices all across the world. And there are, as you said, millions of people who are attempting to do well on the internet, but there are malicious actors as well that will attempt to steal or attack your data. So we really have to be aware of our responsibilities to act with integrity and to protect ourselves,
Awesome.
not just for the benefit of our own selves, but for the benefits of our companies, our families, our institutions.
Awesome. And you said something, responsibility. I want to see, for example, as a citizen of any country, there are some things that are expected from me. What I want to ask you next is, what are the expectations from me or from me as a digital citizen? I mean, it's a world wide web, yes, but what are the expectations?
I think I would probably say there's three main expectations. The first one is to protect the communication, engagement, data that you are sharing over the internet. That is the paramount expectation of engagement on the internet. Now you can there's plenty of ways to buy the devices and the software and the necessary components to keep your information safe. Is it better to understand and comprehend how to do those things for yourself? Absolutely, of course. Which leads us into the second expectation is to have to have that comprehension and then build on that comprehension and build skills necessary to access the numerous applications that you're going to use and the resources and the tools that you're going to use over the internet. The last one would probably be to abide by the laws set forth by the acting organizations and governments regulating the traffic on the internet. Saying that's third, it kind of sounds like maybe that should be second or even first, but we really have to know and understand what the legal bindings are when we engage in communication over this internet, because we will and can and will be held responsible for those legal bindings.
Awesome. So one of the things that I've been hearing a lot about is digital footprint. Digital footprint. So for me as a citizen, before I could open a business, I had to get a police record. So it had to go into the police to check to see if I had any felonies or if I had did I break any rules? And so if I had broken any rules, two of the jurisdictions that I have businesses in, they would not have given me an authority or a business license to function as a business person. So like citizens in a city or a country, we have rules that we must follow. So police records, we have a list of crimes that we have committed. What I wanted to share with us, with our audience, is what is the importance, or what do we mean by digital footprint, first of all, and then you'll tell us about the importance. So what do we mean? When we talk about digital footprint, what do we mean by that?
Digital footprint and this is, it's hard to not convey this in an overwhelming manner, but you mentioned that I work for a healthcare company.
Yes.
As a member of that healthcare company and as a client within that healthcare company, I go to the doctor myself. When I place my information, let's say in the portal, I have to go to the doctor's office and I check in online. I am sending that personal information to my doctors through the internet, and that is information and data that is, one, could be intercepted, attacked as it's on its travels across the internet, and it also has to be stored. Because we are going to route, right, and we have to be able to trace our just as a police officer or a detective would follow hints and clues to this from the scene of the crime to the perpetrator. A digital crime and an investigator will be able to follow the clicks and the engagement as you traveled across the internet back to your device, and that is your digital footprint.
Talk about that word you just mentioned, clicks. Because a lot of times people think that we can just go on the internet and click on anything and nobody's going to know that you did it. We can think of music. We notice that, I mean, iTunes, if I click iTunes, the one song that I choose, then they start sending a barrage of songs to me. If I go on Facebook, and sometimes I think Facebook is listening to me because I swear I don't even click anything. I probably just say it while Facebook is open, and then I see things coming my way. I want you to talk to us about how our clicks, how important is that click? Talk
It's
to us about
everything.
that.
Your clicks are everything. That it is, as you stated, the internet, the applications on the internet know you and can predict what you want and where you want to go, because they are your clicks, and your engagement with those websites is tracked and shared within that organization. So on an organization like Facebook, if I click on an advertisement for a health supplement, Facebook, the organization, and the advertisers that are a part of, in partner with Facebook, now have access to my desire to want health supplements, because I clicked, I shared with that organization that I have this desire and this interest in this topic. So they're going to give me more of it. Because as I click more on the network, I create more data and I create more perception. And our websites are able to track and store and predict our behavior based on the clicks that we engage in across the applications we engage with on the internet.
Okay, so you've mentioned so far web pages, you've mentioned social media. Is there any other digital clicking or any other digital activity I could have that contributes towards my digital footprint, apart from clicking on a website, clicking on an ad, or clicking on iTunes for music? Is there anything else that I, as an adult, should pay attention to when I'm using digital interaction?
Absolutely. It's all of your digital interaction. It's if you have, you said iTunes, and I appreciate iTunes for what they do. I'm personally a Spotify guy.
Okay, Spotify.
So Spotify, I mean, where do you go to get your media? Do you go to YouTube? Do you go to Spotify? Do you go to iTunes? All of these places are storing your interest and your clicks and your habits, so they can build a profile of you and then predict the things that you want. In Spotify's account, my favorite thing about Spotify is the playlists. The algorithm knows what music I choose, and based on the music that I choose, and the more music I choose, right, the more information it has about me, and the more it knows about me, and the more it can accurately predict what music I haven't heard that I would like.
Awesome.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, I was getting to the end of my rant there. I get a little excited when I talk about these.
That's fine. That's fine. What about email? Does email have anything to do with that as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, think of it. I wrote this down. So you want to, just as a postcard, a letter is going to be able to be tracked from your address at your house. You put it in your mailbox, and the mailman picks it up and takes it to the regional distributor, sends it to the national distributor, and so on, and then it's routed. You're doing the same thing on the internet with your email, with your clicks. You are sending mail from your internet router, from your device, across the internet, where it will be tracked from router to router to router as it traverses the web, is received, acknowledged, and then sent back.
Awesome.
So it's real. And again, that's why I said it's hard not to sound overwhelming when we're talking about this scope, because we live in a world in 2024 where we engage in the digital universe daily, regularly, hourly. Your video games consoles, do you have a PlayStation 5 that you engage with online? all of that data that do you shop online, or are you at Amazon? Do you go on Amazon? Do you save your credit card information on your browser? All of these things build a comprehensive footprint of your digital engagement.
Wow. And so there are some of us, I just want to, some people, they kind of have a little nonchalant thing because social media is a place where we think we can hide, right? So because you posted something on social media and nobody's going to see me, I'm just going to say what I want. I know we're going to talk about that respect part another time, but we tend to just want to say anything because we think that nobody's going to know it's us. Tell us a little bit. Tell us who can find that footprint? Who can tell that we are the ones who did it? Tell us how we cannot hide.
So and that is a very it's a tough subject with the internet because it is easy to post anonymously, correct? You can, whether you're on YouTube or social media or applications, you can create anonymous accounts and appear anonymous to other users on that application. However, if we are to remember correctly how the comparison here of a letter going from your house to someone else's house across the country, your device has what is called an IP address, Internet Protocol address, and that IP address is only attached to your device.
That's right.
And your device, even further than that, has a MAC address. It's a media access control address, and that is specific to your device. There is not another MAC address in the entire world that has the same MAC address as the device that you are using. And so when investigators are on the trail of a digital crime, they can track that. They can search for you once they find your IP address, once they know your IP address, and they could find it from, again, public internet use, right? If you're engaging in the internet, you're sharing your IP address. It can be tracked back to your device at your home, at your home router, your cell phone that you were using a data tower to access. It's very difficult to hide these things. Are you able to? Yes. There are malicious actors that are very professionally adept and expert at hiding their identities, hiding their IP address, masking their IP address, so they can act without integrity. They are not the good digital citizens. Just as there are traditional citizens that break laws, there are digital citizens that are going to break the laws of the digital universe as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And based on that, I want you to be able to, for example, there are some people, older ones, they might get away with it because they probably retired. They're not applying for any jobs. They're not looking for any kind of recommendations, and they might escape with having a digital footprint that is not credible or that lacks integrity by posting, crazy stuff online. But talk to a youth, somebody who knows that they're about to apply online for a job. They want to look for some recommendation. Talk to these people about their digital footprint, please. Hello? Okay. Yeah, hello?
I'm sorry, there's a big thunderclap at the house where the internet connection is unstable, but we're gonna hope that the storm does not interrupt our feed.
Did you hear what I said?
Can you repeat it, please?
I was saying that I know that older people like me might feel like, oh, I have nothing to lose, and they can do anything on the internet and don't care about their footprints. Yes. But what about the young people, the young person who needs a job or who needs a recommendation or who is actually looking for something in life? What can you tell them about being cautious about their digital footprint?
I would tell a young person to engage in digital society as they would in traditional society, in a way that if if you would not do it in traditional society because you would fear that it would come back to harm your job prospects or your what your future prospects, the same applies for the digital universe. If you would not rob a gas station because you do not want to go to jail and become a felon, then you will not engage in online crimes that, again, there are laws set forth by our governments across the world to ensure that consequences are based on those that break those laws.
Definitely. And I want to highlight two of them. And I really want to speak to my fellow educators right now, because I just read in our county, there were two educators. One had already served 30 years as an educator. He was 60 years old. And in May 2024, he got caught communicating with a minor. How did they find him? Same thing, digital footprint. And guess what? He was booked into jail just about going through his retirement. There's another one, 25 years old, an assistant principal. They found on his phone 11,000 deleted. Listen to the word. Deleted text messages and exchanges of photographs with a minor. And guess what? He is also booked into jail. And that only happened in June 2024. Educators, I want to warn you, you have a digital footprint. Not just educators. I know of people who have sent out emails that were anti-Semitic, or maybe just sent an email to the wrong person. You click send, and guess what? I want people to understand that your emails are public. When you send that email out, it doesn't belong to you anymore. So as adults, we keep talking about protecting children on the internet. I want to say to you, from whom are we protecting them? It's from us. And some of us, although Mr. Begnado clearly stated that there are some people who hide because they have malicious intentions, those people who are predators and who traffic and all of those things, they go out of their way to do it. But there are some of us who are genuine, good citizens in regular life. We are administrators, we are, we hold credible positions in society, and yet still we engage in sending out information that are not in line with integrity on the internet. Listen, you have an IP address. You have all of those addresses that Mr. Begnado just explained. Do not engage in sending out text, social media posts, anything that you will be ashamed of. Pictures. Some of us want to send out things on the internet and think it's just, it's just there on my phone. Well, guess what? If it hit the web, Mr. Begnado, tell us about that. If I send something out on the internet, where does it go? Parents have a habit of sending their children. Your children are your children. But I want you to caution parents and tell us about just those posting habits and where does it go? There's an ad that asks the child asks the grandma, where does it go, grandma? Tell us.
The really quick answer is that you don't know where it goes, because once you send it out, let's talk about a key difference between the traditional mail going from the mailbox to the digital email going from the device to the device. Once you have sent that data out of your device and it has been accepted and is received by someone else on the internet, that data can be copied, it can be manipulated, it can be stored. That data is no longer, like you said, that it's not in your control anymore. And so you don't know where your data is going to go. So it's probably in your best interest to only send out data that you can stand by with integrity.
That's right.
Again, it's an overwhelming scope to think that I could send a cat video to my grandmother to get a couple of laughs, and that cat video logistically can be sent not just to my grandmother, but is broadcast to the millions and the hundreds of millions and billions of people that access the internet daily.
That's right.
I didn't intend to send it out that way, but the possibility is there that somebody could intercept that message. Maybe it's on a cat video, maybe it's your personal bank information. That it is incredibly vital that we understand that when we send information on the internet, it is not a like one-way street where you're sending something out and that person gets it and then shreds it in the mail or puts it in a box on a shelf. That data can be copied and sent infinitely.
Awesome, because people like to say, oh, I only sent it. And I know of some really ugly instances because it is WhatsApp too. You send a voice note to somebody on WhatsApp. I sent it to Mr. Begnado because I thought he was going to keep it to himself. But then he shared it with his brother, who sent it to his cousin, and his cousin sent it to his other brother, and then it becomes all over the place. Folks, if you do not want other people to hear it, do not send it out via voice note. Send it to the person. Do not send it out, period. Do not. And so we have had some really sad situations where people just went ahead and sent out. And that's another thing we're going to talk about. We don't have enough time to talk about it today. But next month, Mr. Begnado, we're going to come back on to talk about respect on the internet. Because people think they can just share anything. People go on, somebody's had an accident and the first person on the scene, they take a picture and then they send it out. Somebody dies and then they do the same thing. And we need to be able to talk about, as digital citizens, there are rules that govern those things. Number one is disrespectful. And number two, if somebody decides to challenge you, you can get in trouble for it. We've had people who, well, you send a picture of yourself, inappropriate, of course, but you send it to somebody when you're in a relationship. And then the relationship goes bad, and then what happens? He or she decides to send it other places. What happens? Yes, that person would have a lot of shame to deal with, but you can also be charged. Different countries have different rules concerning those things. China has some really tough ones. Spread a rumor, you can go to jail. But we will be able to talk about that at length, on another session. But I really want you, as we have a few minutes to wrap up, I want you to, you've shared about the impact on career. I want you to share some practices or habits that people can implement to guard their digital footprints, the way they do emails, the way they do text messages, the way they interact with social media, the way they interact with almost all of the things that we spoke about. What are some practices you can, tell or share with our listeners that they would guard their digital footprints?
I think as far as protecting yourself from malicious actors, the best practice is to be aware and present in your surfing, in your navigating the web. Malicious actors may send you an email from Facebook, but the Facebook logo isn't exactly the Facebook logo. That is a very clear sign that it is a false website that might reroute you to a very dangerous website where your personal information will be stolen. So it's about being aware of what is on the browser, what you're clicking on, what you're engaging with, where you're sending your email, where you're sending your data. It is a very strong personal responsibility of awareness while browsing.
Awesome. So you want people to make sure that they can pay attention to those clicks.
I do.
So whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on iTunes, whether it's on Spotify, be careful about what you click on.
And that's tough because I understand, we can freeze ourselves up because we don't want to click something and break it. We don't want to click something and be attacked. And so we get scared to click on anything. And we don't want that. We want to use the internet. Another practice, again, part of that awareness is an understanding of how the internet works. If you look to the top of the internet, in your address bar, at the beginning of the address bar, when you go to, let's say, if I go to my bank's website, pnc.com, that's going to start with https://. Now there's also http://. That extra S stands for security. And if you see a website that has https, that means that is a secure website, and you can trust that website because the people who operate that website have paid and protected their website with devices and software and the programs and the protocols necessary to protect their information and your information.
Awesome. So what we're hearing, pay attention to all of those things and just be careful what you share. Emails, I say to people have lost their jobs for sending out old emails. So make sure that remember your email is public. And there's a whole, just dealing with schools and web browsing and all of those things is how to protect ourselves on the internet. But I know we plan to address respecting while interacting on the internet on a different session. And we also want to address how to protect our privacy. Mr. Begnado mentioned it briefly, but I want to share with you or remind you that as you go through the internet, remember that you are a citizen. You are expected to be responsible. You are expected to serve with integrity. The people who got caught with the educators, some responsible educator found out and just shared a tip. And all they had to do was to find the IP address, and they caught these guys. Folks, do not engage in things as adults that are going to harm our career, that's going to harm our society, that's going to harm our children. Our children belong to us. We need to protect them. And so my encouragement to you as a digital citizen is to guard your digital footprint. Any final words, Mr. Begnado?
You wrapped it up wonderfully and beautifully. Thank you. And I'm honored to be a part of Habits That Count.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I want to say to you, everybody, that you have been listening to Labitil. Those of you who have questions, because I did not go on the internet to check to see if you had any questions. If you have any questions, go ahead and type it in on the DBS Radio interaction with this broadcast, and I will send them to Mr. Begnado. He will answer them, and you can get your answers on Spotify. He said he's a Spotify guy. So we have a podcast version of Labitil where we answer questions. So we include what you heard today, plus the questions people will ask. So ask your questions. Mr. Begnado will answer them, and you will find it at least by the end of this week on Spotify. And if you get a chance to listen on Spotify, I want you to follow Labitil. I also want you to like. You can also take the poll, or you can leave a comment or even rate the podcast. If you rate it, I'd be really happy. So thank you so much again for your listen. You have been listening to Labitil, Habits That Count. And I want you to, as you leave, remember that your obligation as a digital citizen is to serve with integrity. And if you do that, we'll protect our children, we'll protect our society, and we will protect our career. So what I'm going to say to you is show kindness to at least one person. Even right there on social media, be kind. Show kindness to one person. And of course, plant a seed, it will grow. And until next time, I am your host, Dr. Martha J. On behalf of Mr. Begnado, I want to say thank you so much for your listening today. We appreciate you. Bye-bye.
You are tuned in to Labitil, Habits That Count, with Dr. Martha J.
Thank you, Dr. Martha J. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Take care, Pastor.
All right.
for news.
That's why I call it a wrap for now. Until next time, be good. Don't die till you finish. Stay positive, and let's continue to do what we have.